collapse of the Roman Empire before Germania. The Roman Empire, once the beacon of power, culture, and civilization, faced a gradual collapse long before Germania emerged as a dominant force in the post-Roman world. While Germanic tribes played a role in Rome's decline, the empire's collapse was a complex process driven by internal weaknesses, economic instability, and a failure to adapt to changing geopolitical realities. Germania, far from being the sole cause, was both a beneficiary and a catalyst in this monumental transition. Prologue: the height of power. At its zenith in the 2nd century CE, the Roman Empire spanned 3 continents, encompassing vast territories, diverse cultures, and unparalleled wealth. Its cities boasted aqueducts, amphitheaters, and roads that connected the empire like veins in a vast organism. However, this vastness was also its Achilles heel. The very elements that made Rome great, its size, centralized governance, and reliance on conquest, became liabilities as pressures mounted. Chapter 1: Seeds of Decline. Economic instability. By the 3rd century CE, Rome's economy was under immense strain. The empire's reliance on slave labor faltered as military conquests slowed, reducing the flow of captives. Additionally, constant warfare drained resources, and inflation soared as emperors debased the currency to fund military campaigns. Administrative overreach. The sheer size of the empire made effective governance increasingly difficult. Emperors struggled to control distant provinces, leading to corruption and inefficiency. Governors and local leaders often acted autonomously, weakening central authority. Social inequality. A growing divide between the wealthy elite and the poor eroded social cohesion. While the aristocracy enjoyed opulent lifestyles, the lower classes faced crippling taxes and economic hardship. This disparity fueled unrest and weakened loyalty to the empire. Chapter 2: The Crisis of the 3rd Century. The 3rd century CE was a period of profound instability for Rome, often referred to as the Crisis of the 3rd Century. Between 235 and 284 CE, the empire was beset by civil wars, invasions, and economic collapse. Barbarian invasions. Germanic tribes, including the Goths, Franks, and Alemanni, took advantage of Rome's internal turmoil to raid its frontiers. The Rhine and Danube regions became battlegrounds as these tribes probed the empire's defenses. Military anarchy. The Roman military, once a source of stability, became a destabilizing force. Ambitious generals declared themselves emperors, leading to a series of short-lived and often ineffective rulers. Between 235 and 284 CE, Rome saw over 20 emperors, many of whom were overthrown or assassinated. Plague and population decline. The Antonine Plague, 165 to 180 CE, and later outbreaks of disease decimated the population, reducing the empire's manpower and economic productivity. Cities depopulated, and agricultural output plummeted, exacerbating food shortages. Chapter 3: Diocletian and Constantine. A temporary reprieve. Diocletian's reforms. Emperor Diocletian, r. 284 to 305 CE, enacted sweeping reforms to stabilize the empire. He divided the empire into the Eastern and Western Roman empires, each ruled by a senior emperor, Augustus, and a junior emperor, Caesar, in a system known as the Tetrarchy. This division improved administrative efficiency, but also deepened the cultural and political divide between East and West. Diocletian also implemented economic reforms, including price controls and tax restructuring. While these measures provided short-term stability, they failed to address the underlying weaknesses of the empire. Constantine's legacy. Emperor Constantine, r. 306 to 337 CE, further stabilized the empire by reunifying it under his rule. He established Constantinople as the new capital of the Eastern Empire, shifting the center of power eastward. Constantine also embraced Christianity, granting it imperial support through the Edict of Milan, 313 CE. While this unified the empire spiritually, it also marked a departure from traditional Roman polytheism. Chapter 4: Germania on the rise. While Rome struggled, the Germanic tribes experienced significant transformations that made them formidable players in the post-Roman world. The emergence of confederations. Tribes such as the Goths, Franks, Vandals, and Alemanni began forming larger confederations. These alliances enabled them to coordinate raids and migrations, increasing their power and resilience against Roman retaliation. Learning from Rome, Germanic leaders like Arminius before them adopted Roman military tactics and governance structures. This blend of Roman and tribal strategies made them more effective opponents. The Huns and the domino effect. The arrival of the Huns in Europe in the late 4th century pushed Germanic tribes toward Roman borders. This domino effect triggered the migration period, during which groups like the Visigoths and Ostrogoths crossed into Roman territory, seeking refuge and resources. Chapter 5. The Fall of the Western Roman Empire. The Western Roman Empire faced a series of critical blows in the 5th century CE, leading to its eventual collapse. The sack of Rome. In 410 CE, the Visigoths, led by Alaric, sacked Rome. Although Rome remained the symbolic heart of the empire, its political and military significance had waned. The sack was a shock to the Roman world but also a symptom of deeper issues. The Vandal conquest of North Africa. The Vandals, under King Genseric, crossed into North Africa and captured Carthage in 439 CE. This deprived Rome of its richest province and crucial grain supplies, further destabilizing the empire. Odoacer and the end of the West. In 476 CE, the Germanic chieftain Odoacer deposed Romulus Augustulus, the last Roman emperor of the West. Odoacer declared himself king of Italy, marking the symbolic end of the Western Roman Empire. However, the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire, continued to thrive, preserving Roman traditions. Chapter 6. Germania's role in the post-Roman world. With the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the Germanic tribes transitioned from Rome's adversaries to inheritors of its legacy. Germanic kingdoms. The Germanic tribes established kingdoms across former Roman territories. The Franks, Visigoths, Ostrogoths, and Vandals preserved elements of Roman culture, such as Latin, Roman law, and Christianity, blending them with their own traditions. The Franks and the Holy Roman Empire. The Franks, under leaders like Clovis and later Charlemagne, became the most prominent Germanic power. Charlemagne's coronation as Holy Roman Emperor in 800 CE symbolized the continuation of Roman traditions under Germanic leadership. The Eastern Roman Empire and Germania. The Eastern Roman Empire, centered in Constantinople, maintained a complex relationship with the Germanic tribes. While it survived for nearly a millennium after the fall of the West, it viewed the Germanic kingdoms as both rivals and heirs to Roman traditions. Epilogue. Lessons from the collapse. The fall of the Roman Empire before Germania was not the result of a single event or enemy, but a culmination of internal decay and external pressures. Germania, while playing a pivotal role, was not the sole cause of Rome's downfall. Instead, it was part of a broader transformation that reshaped Europe. Chapter 7. The broader causes of collapse. The Roman Empire's decline before the Germanic tribes' fully asserted dominance was shaped by a web of interconnected factors beyond military defeat. These causes highlight the internal vulnerabilities that left Rome exposed to external pressures like the migrations and incursions of the Germanic peoples. 1. Political fragmentation. By the 4th and 5th centuries, the centralized political structure that had sustained Rome for centuries had fractured. The division of the empire into Eastern and Western halves created separate political and military centers that often competed rather than collaborated. While the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantium, thrived, the Western Empire faced increasing instability. Civil wars and usurpations. Constant power struggles among claimants to the throne weakened central authority. In the Western Empire, military leaders like Stilicho, Aetius, and Ricimer wielded more power than the emperors they served, leading to short-lived reigns and lack of continuity. Weak leadership. The late Roman Empire saw a succession of ineffective rulers who were often controlled by generals or external forces, leaving the state unable to respond decisively to crises. 2. Economic decline. Economic hardships were a critical factor in Rome's decline. These included taxation and corruption, The tax burden on the lower classes became unsustainable, while the elite often evaded taxes. Corruption further drained resources intended for public works and defense. Decline in agricultural productivity. Overfarming and climatic changes reduced agricultural yields, leading to food shortages and famine in some regions. Collapse of trade. The security of Rome's trade routes was compromised by both internal instability and external threats, reducing the empire's access to wealth and resources. 3. Military challenges. Rome's military, once its greatest strength, became a source of vulnerability due to structural changes. Reliance on mercenaries. Rome increasingly relied on Germanic federates and other non-Roman troops to defend its borders. While these forces were skilled, their loyalty often lay with their tribal leaders rather than Rome itself. Overextension. The empire's vast borders were difficult to defend, and resources were stretched thin. Frequent invasions and rebellions left key regions exposed. Loss of tactical superiority. Over time, the Germanic tribes adapted to Roman military strategies, employing them effectively against their former teachers. Chapter 8. The role of Christianity in the transformation.